Okay, so today is our first SQL session. So in this, see guys, this sessions will be somewhere around 30 to 45 hours I have planned. So I thought of initially giving you a basic overview of the SQL and all, but right now I want to give an overview in a detailed way from basic to advanced in SQL. Okay, so whatever you might know, some things about SQL and you might know some other things also. So keep it all aside. So I'm trying to, basically give you the SQL knowledge from scratch. Okay, so you might be get bored also initial 1-2 sessions because I'll start from data. There are other couple of folks who don't know anything about the data or database, and also you should not get annoyed people who already know, or else you should not feel bored. Okay, if there is something you can also give me an add-on, you can just let me know. I can also add your points as well while explaining the things to other folks. Okay, so that's one. Now coming to second, we'll start the session today. Again, the sessions will be continued from tomorrow. Tomorrow also we have second session. So coming to SQL, so in this session, basically my main agenda of this session is to give you an introduction about the data and data formats and what are the data storage solutions, data presence in databases, what is the difference between on-premise data and cloud data storages, and who are the familiar database vendors, and then what is the overview of database feature and what is SQL on a high level. So this is my main agenda for this particular session. Okay. So again, let's start from the scratch. So let's understand a bit about data. So what is data? So data can be anything. Okay, it can be information which is stored, or else it can be any bit of information also called as data. Let's take, if I'm taking a picture, that is also a data. If I'm saving some file, if I'm creating your resume, if I'm creating my resume, or if I'm entering something here, the slide which you are seeing, that is also data. The meeting which is recorded right now, it is also a data. So data is nothing but it's on a high level, uh, the units of information which is collected. Like, collection of information is nothing but a data. I hope this makes sense. Okay, so the Excel what we are saving, the assignments what we are doing, okay, the pics what we are clicking, the selfies what we are clicking, or else the other information which is stored in the with the government, that is also a data. Anything which stores something, some information, okay, that is known as data. Anyone agreed, or do you have some queries over here? Guys, clear this particular point or this
Yes,
particular?
sir,
Yes,
it's clear.
Agreed, no. So anything is data. Whatever we are speaking now, anything is data. So why data? If you are saving this data, particular data, we can use it in future. If you are not saving this data, we cannot use it. So why do we use this particular data? Anything. It can be for analysis purpose, it can be for research purpose, or it can be anything. Let's take, we are saving the data in an Excel sheet. You have a retail store, okay, or else I have a retail store. I'm saving all the data, the sales information in my Excel sheet. Okay. So that is a data. Can I call it as a data?
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
I can call it as a data. So why I'm doing it? Let's take, I want to compare it with July and August. Which month sales has been performed? Or else from the last 1 year, which month sales is increasing? So I can use this data for comparison, for analysis, or for visualization, or for a number of things. Or else in micro things, I can confirm in August month what kind of sales are happening more. In July month, what kind of sales are happening more. In May month, what kind of sales are happening and all. So if I have a data, I can do the research and I can do a number of things. Like, I can basically, analyze number of things, not only in terms of, saving the information. I can use this data also. That is the reason every company is back of the data now. Got it? So now you can say August, if there are more number of offers or discounts are coming. Like if you see anywhere, the Flipkart or anywhere in the outlets also, July, August is the main, you will be getting a lot of, sales or offers and all. So why? It is also a data driven decision by the companies, and also you can use data in number of any things. They can do the research, they can do the analysis or anything. So why do we, so this is about data, but how do we take out the data and all? We will see in upcoming sessions, like how do we use the data, what kind of data we will be requiring, performing in terms of projects or other things. We basically see in the upcoming sessions. Okay. So I hope you are clear about the data. There is no doubt, right?
Yes, sir.
So now different types of formats. Okay. See, now let's take, I gave you one example saying that I have a retail store and I'm recording all the sales and the customer names on all the transactions in an Excel sheet. Now, the photo what we are taking, the images what we are clicking, or the selfies what we are clicking, that is also a data. And whatever the Excel sheet which I am saving, that is also a data. Agreed with me?
Yes, sir.
Ravi, understood?
He understood, sir. He's not good. His mic is not working.
Okay, fine, got it. Okay, so anything is a data. So there are different types of formats. Okay, so data is anywhere we call it as data, but the format which we are saving the data, which we are capturing the image. So if you take a picture, we are capturing, this is also a data, but in a pictorial format. If you are taking this particular Excel sheet, which I've told, in the example, we are using this rows and columns. Excel sheet is nothing but combination of rows and columns. So this is our data. So this data, we will call it as a structural data. This data, we will call it as a semi-structured data or no structured data also, right? So data is nothing but a bit of information which we are storing. Okay. Now, storing data also, we have different types of format. It can be a structured data, it can be unstructured data, it can be a semi-structured data. So structured data is nothing but combination of rows and columns. Like let's take number of customers are ordering, okay, or else we can say if you take Flipkart, if I take Madhu as an example, I can write down everything in an Excel. I can point out everything in Excel on what date what things he have ordered. So that is nothing but a structured data. Now if I take unstructured data, let's take Madhu is having pictures of his or selfies of his or pictures of his families. That is an unstructured data. That is also a data, but it is in the format of unstructured. So we have data, right? So this data can be in terms of different formats. It can be a structured data, it can be a semi-structured data, or it can be unstructured data. So why I am telling you this? Because based on the structure or based on the types of formats, we're gonna select our vendor. See, example, I'll tell you. Now we have, bike, right? Everyone, what is the main purpose of bike?
Traveling.
Travel, commute from one place to another place. Okay. But we have different types of bikes, right? Like for example, off-roading. Can I take my scooty for off-roading?
No.
No.
No, sir.
Why? Because it cannot handle that particular type of terrain, right? Similarly, depends on the data format, we have different set of database vendors who are providing this particular thing. Based on it only we will select. So that is the reason for you to understand the formats. So first we need to understand the formats. Based on the format, we're gonna select database for our project. Got it? For example, if it is a structured format, you will select some XYZ database. If it is unstructured format, you will select some XYZ ABC database. If it is semi-structured, you will select some other DEF database. You got my point now, guys. So we have different types of formats in data. So structured data, semi-structured data, and unstructured data. I hope I'm clear.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. So structured data, again, you can say unstructured data can be your test documents, emails, images, videos, or anything. A number of examples you can take it. Semi-structured data, it can be sometimes a table, and also depends on combination of structure and unstructured data. So we will, save it. Now let's take, Flipkart. So guys, tell me, if you are creating a web application similar to Flipkart, which kind of database structure we will be having? Will it be semi-structured or structured data, or no structure?
Semi-structured, sir.
Why?
Semi-structured.
Why?
Because we can use rows and columns to find out the number of sales and what is happening, those things. And we can use unstructured data to write the description of each project description.
Or also we can store the images as well. Got
Yeah,
it?
yes, sir.
See guys,
Yes.
now if I'm clicking something on Flipkart and if I'm searching, I'm getting the description as well as image, right? So image is not a structured data. Image is a unstructured data. So Flipkart, if I want to, create a web application similar to Flipkart or Myntra and all, I need to use semi-structured kind of database I need to use. So that's how, we, based on the project requirement, we're gonna select our databases. Got it? Now, understand what is data storage. Okay. So data storage is nothing but, storing your data in different manners. Let's take, if I'm taking a structured data, I will be storing the data in terms of rows and columns, right? If I'm taking any unstructured data, images or something, I will store it in either cloud or else in local PC or else in memory card or else it will be in pen drive or in my hard drive or anything. So data storage can be, into multiple things. It can be stored in structured format, or else if it is an unstructured format, you can either store it in on cloud and also on premise. So if you see, once you go to a projects or anything, they speak mostly about cloud, on premise and also. What is the main difference between cloud and on premise? See, understand. So if you see, I hope there is a Google document, right? You also know about Word. Word document is something which I will store in my local PC. For example, this particular mission which I'm using right now, I am using my Word document here. If I'm updating everything here, can I use the same Word document in another system, another laptop? No, right? I cannot use it. But if you take a Google Word document, Google Word or something, Google Doc, okay, ideally speaking, Google Doc. So this Google Doc, you can use it even from your mobile also, right? What is Google Doc doing? Google Doc is basically storing the information. I'm giving some inputs in terms of test and it is storing the information, right? So Google Doc is something called cloud. The data is stored in cloud. Coming to my Word document, it is stored in my local machine, or else we'll also call it as on-premise. So that is the main difference between your on-premise structure as well as cloud structure. So cloud, you can access the data from anywhere. You can do the changes, anything from anywhere. Coming to on-premise, you cannot do like this. You can do only at this particular type of instance, that particular type of environment. So data storage, again, based on the type of data format, we can save it in various things. If it is structured data, we have different methods of storing the data. If it is unstructured data, we have different methods of storing the data. So this is about data storage. Now let's understand data storage area. Where do we store? For example, now I am creating your resume. So that can be stored in your document, DOC. If I are creating some text, I'm creating some text, it will be stored in TXT format. So there are different types of formats, basically we're gonna use it in terms of storing the data. For example, HTML. While we develop a code, for the web application, website and all, it will be in HTML or CSS. Okay, so that is your storage area. Or PDF. PDF is a format, PPT is a format, XLS is an Excel file and all. So you can store, using this particular data storage, using this particular formats, you can store your particular data. For example, let's take an employment. I have an employee. I'm storing all the details of my retail store. I'm also storing the departments in that retail store. Now, I have number of employees stored in my, I have maintained in one Excel document. I have maintained another Excel document where departments I have mentioned. Can I link these employees and departments?
No, sir.
I cannot
No,
link
sir.
them.
Yeah,
Why?
we can't. Because they're two different formats.
Okay. So let's take same formats. Here also, first one is my Excel file. Second one is also my Excel file. So here I'm mentioning name of all the employees working in my organization. Here I'm mentioning all the departments, list of departments. Now I want to take the data working in, let's take finance department. Who all are the employees working in finance department? Can I directly take it from this?
No, sir. If we have a common column, then we can take.
If we have a relation between this particular two files, then only we will fetch it. Got it? So that is something called RDBMS. So that I will tell you later on. Okay. So you can, if there is a link between two particular things and all, then you can basically, you know, take the, the details, whatever it is required. Give me a second, guys. So yeah, so I got a call. Okay. So that is how it is. So your data will be stored in different formats based on the type of file which is there. Okay. So if you want to extract the data based on, two files, you need to have a common relationship, some relationship between existing in between the files. So if there is a relationship between two files or two tables or two columns, we will call it as RDBMS. This is also called as relationship database management, RDBMS. Okay, so we will see that in later sessions. So this is about data storage. Okay, see now if you have this particular thing. Okay, now you can see this is all your datas. So here I am keeping the data in text format. Here I am keeping data in picture format. Here I am keeping in PPT format. Here I am keeping in Excel format. So everything is data for me, but the type of format, the structure, based on the structure of data, I am finding a storage area. If this is a PPT, I should store in PPT folder only, or else I should store in PPT format only. If it is image, I should store it in either JPEG or PNG. If this is Excel, I should store it in .xls format. If this is text, I should do it in .txt format. Why I am doing this? Why I can also save .ts. This is a text, right? I can save it in PPT, no?
For easy identification and for recognition, I guess, sir.
Identification and also for easy manipulation. Later on, I want to edit this data. I can do it easily. Got it? Guys, understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So data presence in databases. So if you take a database, guys, okay. So database, you will have this type of data, either rows and columns, or this is called two-dimensional. This is called multi-dimensional data. So here we have only X and Y axis. Here we have X, Y, Z or more axis and all. So here you will be having a stable rows and columns similar to Excel, guys. Two dimension is nothing but your Excel sheet only. It's similar to Excel. If you remember any Excel file and all, it will be similar to like this only. So here, this is also called as like we say there is a particular term,
Vertical and horizontal lines.
so vertical and horizontal only. So if you take this particular thing now, you can, this data, this will keep on adding vertically. Now I will create something. Okay. Let's take, I have created a web application now, and based in this web application, basically, I have created this particular database where I am storing customer name here in the first column, and then the location, the duration or fees, whatever it is, the duration of the sessions they have attended or the fees, whatever they have paid and all. I have created some database. Okay. Now, my database will keep on increasing towards right or towards down?
Towards
Down,
down.
sir.
Down, no?
Yeah.
So, what is that called? Down means?
Or vertical.
Okay. So that is also called vertical scaling. Okay, vertical scaling. So if you take a database, 2D, two-dimensional database, so that it will keep on increasing vertically. Now, if you take multi-dimensional, it will be increased. It can be increased in X, Y, and also 3D, 4D and all. Okay. So any database, okay, any database, the data will be presented in this particular format mostly, or in this. Understood? So you also give a separate, schema. We will also call it as database schema, or as the conditions for a particular database and all that we will do all those things in upcoming sessions. Creation of database, creation of tables, extracting the data from the DB, everything we do from, in the upcoming sessions. For now, just I want to give an overview of about databases and data structures and all. Now, this is very important. How can we load the data? How can we load the data? So there are multiple ways where we can load the data. So load the data is nothing but loading the data into database. So you can do an API integration. You can enter it manually. You can import the files. You can do ETLs. You can do replications. So what is API? For example, you are registering it. You are registering in Flipkart web application. Are you going manually and entering into the database? Once you register your, for example, you create your Gmail account. I hope everyone are created their Gmail accounts, correct?
Yes, sir.
So once you are creating your Gmail account, next time you are able to log in from your login using your email ID and password. Agreed?
Yeah.
So what is this? So how is it happening? Are you entering it manually?
No, only once we'll do it.
So you are doing it in the front end.
Yeah.
But your data is storing it in the back end. Back end
Yes.
is but database. You cannot see the database, correct?
Yes, sir.
Someone from Google team is entering your data. No,
Yeah.
right?
No.
They cannot do, no. They cannot call, hey, Harini, you have created an account. Let me enter the data into database. Is it possible?
No, sir.
So how is it happening? It's happening via API. So
Yeah.
there is an API which is integrated between your front end and back end. And this API is, putting this, posting the, data to your database. While you are creating an account, this API is getting triggered, you are requesting an API to store your information into the database. So which API we will use it while, storing something into database or inserting some data into the database in methods of API? Post API, get,
Yeah.
post, delete and all.
Yeah, sir.
So post API. Post API will basically stores the information into the database from the
Database.
front end. So that is nothing but, so how you are loading the data by using API. Guys, agreed with this? So you are creating an account. So then what is happening? Then your API is basically getting triggered and then it is posting it into the database. This is nothing but API integration. So let's take. Let me just show you an example here. So let me search something from your. So here, let me search iPhone 15, okay, or else iPhone 16. Let's type iPhone 16. So something is already stored in your database. Agreed? That is why you are able to see this particular details, right?
Yes, sir.
So here, if you see,
Post.
you are entering the details. So what you are entering, iPhone 16, you are entering, okay. So what it is getting the details for you. Which method it is using? Get method.
Get
So
method.
here what I want to say, I don't want to confuse you guys. If you are insert, so you can also insert the data or load the data into the database using using your APIs. And also at the same time, you can also fetch the data to your front end by using APIs. So how there are multiple methods of loading the data. You can do your API integration. For example, as discussed again earlier stages, like I have a retail store where I want to maintain the data. Like daily, what I will do, I will sit and I will enter all the details. Okay, today this much of sale happened, this many items I have sold. That is nothing but what? Manual entry. I can enter manually into a database or else like Excel sheet. My Excel sheet is also a database. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Guys, Ravi, Shivani, Sumadar, Tarun. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So also file import. For example, I want to, have larger data sets and all. What I will do is, Sumdar, kindly you upload the data from your end. I will download it. Directly, I'll download the data and use it. Okay. So that's one of the option. There is something called ETL. ETL is nothing but extract, transform, and load. Okay. So ETL is a process where you have data from different sources. So there will be larger chunk. Okay. Out of that larger complex data, whatever you want, okay, you just filter it, clean the data, and then load it into your database. That's nothing but your ETL. So we have different ETL tools, Informatica, and other things also we have. But we don't want to use all those things. Okay, right now I am giving you the data sets and all. You don't want to worry about it. So ETL itself is a separate topic again. So there will be, you need to understand on a high level what is ETL. ETL is nothing but extract, transform, and load, where you have complex data sets, complex data. You will be cleaning the data and take the required data and then load it into your DB. That's nothing but your ETL. Now there is something called replication. For example, cloning of your phone. You have bought a new phone. Now your old phone, you want to change it, you want to transform all the data from your old phone to new phone. That is also called as what? Cloning, right?
Yes, sir.
Cloning, everything will be cloned. The data, whatever the dial numbers, the images, everything will get cloned. So that is also called as replication. So this is one of the method for loading your data into DB. DB is nothing but database. So first thing is API integration. We can, create an API to post the data into your database, then manual entry, then file import, ETL, and then replication. So these are the different methods which we're going to use for loading the data. You guys clear? Do you have any doubt in any of the topics over here?
No, sir. All.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Cool. Now, let's come to our major topic. What is database? So as I told you, data is nothing but collection of all the information or bit of information. Now coming to database, database is nothing but organized way of collecting the data. Organized way of collecting the data. So organized way in the sense, it can be, in terms of rows and columns, or it can be in terms of a structure, which well-defined structure, or else it can be anything. But if I'm creating a database and if I'm setting up some rule, like you can enter into my database with this type of rules only, then only you'll be able to enter into data. For example, I have created an Excel. Okay. So in this Excel, I'll say in particular column, only number should be entered. Only you need to enter numbers. Okay. So if I create this particular conditions, can you go and type the name there in particular column?
No, sir.
No,
It's
right?
not possible.
Not possible. Only numbers can be entertained in this particular column. So similarly, database is also nothing but an organized collection of data. I have a data, but I will collect organizedly. See, let's take, if you take this particular thing, okay, like what do we say? Flipkart, we have a number of data from Flipkart. If you take, so why I'm using, because retail projects, you'll be able to explain easily in your interviews and all. So we can collect data anyway. Let's take, I can collect starting from name of the customer, email ID of the customer, or, first time I have collected the, in first time while collecting, I've collected the name, phone number first, then I've collected email ID first, then I've collected the customer name, then I've taken the order details. Second time while I am collecting, I have collected the email ID first, then I'm collecting the name, then I'm collecting the mobile number, then I'm collecting the order details. So if I am doing like this, you know, randomly, is it an organized way of collecting the data? Can I call it as a database?
No, sir.
Obviously, no, right? I need to collect it in an organized way. Then only you can call this as a database. So
Yeah.
I will keep a set of rules for the database. So I can create, I'll be creating a database and I also create a set of rules. Okay, this is the way which we need to enter the data. Then only database will be agreeing. So this particular column, this particular table should be allowed only characters. This particular column allowed only numbers. This is the only way if someone is entering the data, then only your database will be accepted. So I'll create some set of rules for my database. So then that is called as organized collection of data. Understood? So that is a database. So here your database, whatever the users are coming or else whatever the data you want to store, everything will be stored in a database and saved. So how do we extract the data from the database? Now let's take, I have Apple or else I have Google. So can I call, hey Google, I want this particular data. Will it give it to you?
No, sir.
It will give you some queries. I want to know the weather or something like that. It will help you out. Similarly, SQL is a tool which tells you which you are interacting with. It's a user interface. SQL is a user interface. That's it. You are interacting with SQL. You are asking SQL, hey SQL, I want this particular data. If you ask like this, it will not give, right? For this, what you are doing, you are basically writing some queries, writing some commands. What data you want? So for this data, I need to use this particular logic. For this data, I need to use this particular thing, right? So you are writing these particular commands and then taking the details. So that is the reason you are using SQL. So the meaning of SQL is nothing but structured query language. So structured query language. So it is used for structured data and you are using queries to fetch the required details. That is the meaning of SQL. Got it? So why are we using SQL? To take the data from the database. So database is a collection of lot of things. I don't want everything. I want separate. I want things. For example, every day 100 users are getting added into your Flipkart database. Now, can you, if you want to take out last 1 week, how many users got added? Will you ask us, right? Will you ask SQL, hey, last 10 days or last 1 week, how many users added? Will it give it? It will not give, right? So you need to write it in a specific format where SQL is understood, like where SQL is understood that particular format, and then it will give you the data. Agreed with me?
Yes, sir.
So that is why you need to learn SQL. So you need to learn how to write a query, how to, get the data using that particular logic and other things. So that is the main purpose of learning SQL. So the main purpose of learning SQL is to take the data or extract the required data client asks. Now let's take you are working in a project. Now clients come and says, hey Harni, I want last 1 month, I want August month sales report as well as July month sales report and make a comparison. Now what you need to do, you will go to your SQL and you will write some query. You will fetch the information for August. You will fetch the information from July and then you will make a comparison. Right? You need to understand the use cases. So use cases are, use cases are nothing but, the functionality uses what you will be doing. It's not you are learning SQL. Why are we learning SQL and where are we applying it? What is the main purpose of learning SQL? That is what you need to understand. SQL learning, anyone will learn. But where do we use it? How do we use it? What are the scenarios which we will get it? And how do we use these scenarios? So what kind of questions they might ask, like in your job, what kind of queries you might need to perform. So all those things you need to focus on. Got it? So I guess now you have a basic understanding of database, no? Guys.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, let's move forward. So in the market, there are different database vendors. You have your IBM, Oracle, Microsoft, Snowflake, and PostgreSQL. Again, if I want a bike, I have Royal Enfield, I have Hero, I have Bajaj, I have Harley, I have tried. But what I want to take, I will decide myself based on what is the mileage it will give, what kind of usage I will do. I want, I want to go fast. Can I go and buy a scooty? It will not help me, right? So depends on the requirement, my requirement basically, or the project requirement, we will select the database vendor, PostgreSQL or MySQL or Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle database, Snowflake, HANA, MongoDB, MariaDB, Cassandra. There are multiple databases available in the market. But what is my main use? Based on my use, I will be selecting the data. So enterprise, basically enterprise level, they will select the data. You will not be selecting anything. Whatever it is, your work is to extract the data or create a databases and other things and all. That is what you need to do, right? End of the day, it's enterprise this level sort of decision what kind of database they want to use. You don't have any access for it. Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So again, now, so mostly see if you are, okay, I'll give you a hint, okay? If your data is RDBMS, SQL databases, we call it as SQL databases. So if your data is relationship database, we gonna use SQL. We gonna use SQL. So in SQL, you have MySQL, Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server, PostgreSQL. No SQL, MongoDB. So MongoDB, as I told you, if there is a unstructured data or semi-structured data, we can use go with MongoDB. Apache, Cassandra, all those things are NoSQL. Why there are NoSQL? Because there is no structure. So if you have structure only, RDBMS, we will also call this as in the above, in the before slide. In the before slide, we will call it as relational database management systems. So this relational database management system, we will use SQL because it will be in a structured format. It will be in the form of, if it is a structured format, it will be in the form of, how it will be there?
Rows and columns.
Rows and columns. If it is, there is no structure, it can be anything. It can be a graph, it can be an image, it can be anything. So here SQL always use RDBMS, Relational Database Management System, and it is vertically scalable. So now you understood, right? What is vertically scalable?
Yes, sir.
So your schema is fixed here. Your schema is fixed. Okay. Here NoSQL, we will follow distributed database management system. It is horizontally scalable. Horizontal in the sense, it will go from here to here, here to here. Not like this. This is vertical. This is horizontal. We use dynamic schema. Let's take, we have a group of WhatsApp. I guess everyone will have a group of WhatsApp.
Yes, sir.
Now, let us take 10 people are there in WhatsApp group. In this 10 people, okay, out of this 10 people, we don't know who will send what, right? I might send a text message, good morning, saying good morning. You might send, Arnie might send an image. Now, Sumudar might send, a voice note, anything, right? So that is your dynamic. I'm not sure what I'll be getting it. But if it is in rows and columns, structure, I know it is a schema is predefined. That's the difference between your SQL and NoSQL. Guys, understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
SQL is nothing but if you are using RDBMS, that means structured rows and columns, and also if there is a relation between your databases, then we go for SQL, and it is vertically scalable. NoSQL, we use distributed database management system, and it is horizontally scalable, and the schema is dynamic. That's the difference between SQL and NoSQL. Clear? Now coming to the different, SQL, we can use all this, anything. Either Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL, PostgreSQL, anything. For practice purpose, we're gonna work on Microsoft SQL Server. No SQL, MongoDB, Cassandra, or other things, you can use it. Okay, so where they don't have any, structure, it is dynamic schema. Understood the difference now? SQL and NoSQL. So now let's take Flipkart, semi-structure. Which kind of DB you will use? You can use MongoDB for some purpose for storing of the images and all. For storing the customer data, order information and everything, you're gonna go with any SQL database. You can use combination of both. For all the content, the images, what you are seeing, everything will be fetched from the DB only. For that, we can go with Mongo. For the information for the customer point of view, order information, everything we can store it in MySQL based. You understood? You can use a combination of both. So now let's understand what is SQL, structured query language. Okay. So the structured query language initially, is an ANSA, American National Standards Institute standard. It is also called it as SQL. IBM, basically developed this. Now SQL became SQL, It is nothing but, relational database management system that use SQL mostly. And it is easy to learn and use it. The main functionality of SQL is to extract the data, define the data, manipulate the data. These three things, the main features. Define the data, that means how the data should looks like. Retrieve the data, that means whatever the data you want to take it from the database, you can take it and manipulate the data. Basically, you can alter the data. Based on these three only, we have multiple commands which are there in your SQL that we will learn in upcoming sessions. So I hope you are clear with what is SQL and all. Why do we use SQL? Guys, any doubt do you have? Please ask me.
Till now, no doubt, sir.
Okay, so you don't have any doubts, right? So now what I'll be doing, I'll be sharing you a recording. You need to follow that recording and set up your local, for writing the queries or anything and all. I'll be sharing you the recordings also, recording of how to download the SQL server and also how to set up the SQL server. If you still face any issue, you can just let me know, then we can connect on it. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Cool, guys.
Good.
Okay, cool. Tomorrow we'll connect. Same time. 8 to 9. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Bye. Have a nice day.
Thank
Bye,
you,
sir.
sir.
Thank
Bye,
you,
sir.
sir.